Good morning everyone and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Sub-Committee on the 11th of December. If we could start with agenda item 1, which is the election of chair. Are there any nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Williams as the chair this morning.
Seconded.
Lovely. Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Thank you and good morning. Can we do the housekeeping first, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Council for live broadcast and will be published on the Council's website for a minimum of 6 months. The meeting may also be recorded or streamed for live or subsequent broadcast by members of the public, although ultimate discretion in this matter lies with the Chair in case of disruption. For those in the room, please note that if the fire alarm sounds, please exit the building by way of your nearest available signed fire exit route and make your way to the assembly point at the War Memorial in the gardens opposite the front of the building in Bourne Avenue. Finally, please ensure background noise is kept to a minimum and mobile phones and other devices are turned off or switched to silent for the duration of the meeting. For those in the room, this includes turning off microphones and turning the volume down completely on your laptops. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think there are any apologies.
No, we haven't received any apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? No, thank you. The protocol for public speaking at the hearing. A protocol for public speaking at this hearing of the Licensing Subcommittee is included with the agenda sheet for noting. Item 5. The application for a premises licence for Palm Lounge 23 Pool Hill, Bournemouth, BH2 5PW. I'll now ask each participant to introduce themselves and state their role. I'm Councillor Lawrence Williams, chairing this meeting, and I'm Councillor for Littledown and Iford.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Councillor Chris Matthews. I'm a member of the subcommittee this morning and also a member of the full licensing committee, and I'm a councillor for Camford.
Councillor Judy Richardson, East Southbourne and Tuckton, member of the Licensing Subcommittee.
Thank you. Councillors David Flagg and Adrian Chapman-Law are the reserve members. They're not required today, and if they would like to, well, one of them's gone already. Councillor Chapman-Law, you're very welcome to stay to observe for training purposes, but you can't take any part of the hearing or deliberations. Can we start with the officers?
Tanya Jardine, Licensing Officer.
Thank you.
And I'm Linda Cole, Lead Legal Advisor advising the committee this morning.
And I'm Sinead O'Callaghan, the clerk to the committee this morning.
Thank you. For the applicant, we have Omar Al-Maghribi and David Bevan, from who's a planning consultant. You're both very welcome. The responsible authority this morning is Planning Enforcement, who are not attending. So we're to take into account their written representation. Before I run through the procedure, can I please check that all persons who have given notice of their intention to speak have been identified? And any person who wishes to withdraw a representation or wish to speak has also been identified. I assume there's nobody. If there's no comment, I'll take that as correct. Thank you. I'd like to now explain the proposed procedure and order of speaking for the hearing as follows. The licensing officer will present a report, then questions of the licensing officer by all parties, but the members of this subcommittee will go first. Applicant will then make their application. Questions of the applicant by all parties. Members of the subcommittee go first again. The planning enforcement not attending the hearing, so their representation will be considered on the basis of what's been submitted in writing. Applicants will then be given an opportunity to sum up, and the hearing will conclude. The subcommittee will deliberate in private with our legal advisor and clerk present. Notification of the subcommittee's decision will be given within the period of 5 working days, beginning today or the last day on which the hearing was held. The notification of the decision will include information about the right to appeal as appropriate. I'll now ask all parties to confirm their agreement of the proposed procedure or make representations. Mrs. Jardine? Yep. Linda?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. Are you both content? Thank you. Finally, can I ask, may I remind all parties speaking not to repeat the information which has already been given in writing, but to expand on their written representations. All questions are to be asked through the chair, and there will be no cross-examination of parties. Now ask the licensing officer to present her report.
Thank you, Chair. CL9 Limited submitted application for a premises licence to permit the provision of late night refreshment at Palm Lounge, 23 Paul Hill, from 2300 to 0200 hours every day of the week. The premises benefited from a premises licence which permitted the supply of alcohol 11 to 2300 hours Monday to Sunday. However, this licence lapsed in May 2024 as a result of the previous licence holder limited company being dissolved. Licensing officers visited the premises at the beginning of October as part of an evening of action with Dorset Police to advise businesses on smoking legislation and provide information on compliance. During this visit, Mr Al-Maghribi was advised of the requirements to hold a premises licence should he wish to carry out licensable activities, namely the provision of hot food and drinks after 2300 hours, and this application was subsequently submitted. The Licensing Office received one representation in objection to the application from BCP Council's Planning Department, who are a consultee, on the grounds that granting the licence for the times requested would undermine the public nuisance licensing objective. The premises are subject to a planning permission which restricts the opening hours of the premises to 0700 to 2300 7 days per week. The opening hours were restricted by planning based on the location and potential adverse impact on nearby residents to address potential noise nuisance, and they considered that to uphold the licensing objective of the prevention of public nuisance, the terminal hour under the premises licence should reflect the agreed planning hours of 0700 to 2300 hours. I note the Environmental Health have not made a representation. Revised guidance issued under Section 182 provides clarification on the differentiation between planning and licensing. Licensing committees are not bound by decisions made by the planning committee. However, consideration should be given to discussions with planning colleagues with the aim to agree mutually acceptable operating hours. The applicants have advised that they are applying for planning permission to extend the hours to reflect those requested on the licence application. They have been advised that should the licence be granted, they will not be able to use the licence until such time as the planning permission is granted for later hours, and failure to observe the earlier terminal hour of 2300 would be a breach of planning permission and liable to prosecution under planning law. As part of the consultation, mediation took place between the applicants and Dorset Police, and extra conditions were agreed to be added to the licence should it be granted, and which members will find listed in my report at Appendix 4. We received no other representations from other persons or responsible authorities. Members are asked to consider whether to grant this application, and should the licence be granted and the applicants fail to operate in accordance with their licence and any conditions attached to it, they will be aware that any responsible authorities or other persons may request a review of the licence at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do either of you have any questions at this point?
Not at this
No?
point.
Thank you. Can I just reiterate that you've had no residents complaint? Thank you. Do you have any questions at all?
No, we don't have any questions.
No, that's fine. At this point. Would you like to make your case now? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. My name's David Bevan. I'm a planning consultant. The applicant here is my client for a planning application, which we've previously prepared, and we are working on one now to extend the hours. To give a bit of background, when the premises were taken over, the surrounding area up in the Triangle and up Paul Hill, we've got a number of businesses up there which open very late into the night. It's not a tranquil area, it's busy, so it's maybe a little bit naivety, ignorance, but I think it's human nature. You look around and you think, well, everyone else is doing it. So it was an honest mistake, opening past 11 o'clock, and as we've heard, it was following a visit from the licensing team that actually informed and pointed out to the applicant that if you want to trade after 11 o'clock with hot food and hot drinks, then you do require the late night refreshment. And so it's subsequently submitted. The objection from planning, it talks about sort of like protecting sort of like public amenity, but the reasons for that condition being imposed, and even the terminal hour of 11 o'clock, is a very standard, it's a baseline planning condition. That condition hasn't been varied. We haven't been in with that application, so we aren't here off the back of a refusal or any kind of input or technical exploration of that policy. To I suppose move things forward and come to a very swift conclusion, the applicant is well aware. As I said, it's down to education, it's down to knowledge. The applicant now knows he needs the licence and he needs the planning and he needs all the paperwork in order before he can open past 11 o'clock. It goes without saying that whatever the earlier terminal hour is, that should be respected and seen as when the business closes, regardless whether you've got a licence till 4 o'clock in the morning or the other way around, planning condition till 4 in the morning. Whatever is the earliest, that's where you finish. However, I don't know if we can put a non-standard condition on the licence to make it explicitly clear that whatever the terminal hour is, that needs to be what is respected. The application to vary the planning condition, that is going in. The reason for the delay so far is obviously preparation for this committee hearing, because we need both bits of paper, as I said. So there's no guidance, there's no set way of doing things, whether you go for planning first, whether you go for licensing first. We know that at the end we need both. So what we're asking, I suppose, is for the committee to put the trust in the applicant, who has held his hands up and has said, yes, okay, I admit I didn't quite know. I thought it was a case of, once the application goes in, I can do this or I can do that, and they're doing it, so why can't I? We hear that quite a lot in planning, and I imagine you're doing licensing as well. So if faith can be put in the applicant that the earlier terminal hour, which at this point would remain with planning at 11 o'clock, that will be abided by until such a time whether that condition has been varied, then it saves the applicant going through the costly and lengthy process of coming back to licensing. Hopefully by that time we wouldn't find ourselves at the committee, but it is a costly process to go through the licence. So we would like to have the licence granted, and we can put that in a drawer neatly until 8 weeks down the line when planning hopefully would then vary their condition. And we might not get 2 o'clock with planning, we're not saying we would do, but whatever they come to, that is the hour that we would close the business. I think I've covered everything. Is there anything you think? Yeah. I think so. Well, you would have seen that the police made their representations, and that's all been agreed to. And part of that was to have door staff, SIA door staff on the weekends, which the applicant has agreed to. We have to remember, when there's no alcohol served at all, it's not an extension of alcohol hours. This is basically a clean environment, and I think it's actually a benefit to the area to have somewhere that's an alternative, especially open a little bit later. So when customers are coming out of the bars and clubs nearby, they do have a safe, dry, if you like, area where they can go to sober up, get some coffee, get some proper food to help them sober up. So I think that throughout the day, I think Palm Lounge offers something very crucial and important to the local community. And I think going forward into the evening, it's not going to create any additional noise, additional problems. And there's no rowdy behaviour there. They don't even play music after 10 p.m. at night. So as far as to say that public nuisance would be in any way compromised by allowing the longer hours, there's no logic to come to that conclusion. If anything, this will take away some of that boisterousness from the streets into basically a controlled environment, especially on the weekend. And I believe that's pretty much all of our points.
Thank you. A couple of questions from me. The first one, I thought I'd read on there that there's no music at all on the application.
It's not amplified music. There's background music, like you'd expect in any cafe or restaurant. And I've said that would be fine, but they've even committed to having that turned off at 10 p.m.
Very, very low level, like minimal.
And I've got a question for you, if I may. Can you tell me what the licensing objectives are?
The licensing objectives. It was for the police for the CCTV.
No. What are the licensing generally? What are licensing objectives?
Licensing. I can't remember off the top of my head what they were,
Okay.
but I read through them and I made sure that they were all met. Something to do with our staff being trained adequately, the CCTV, the noise levels.
It's quite important that you know them, so I suggest you study them.
If I would see them, because I've been through them before.
Committee, do you have any further questions?
I've got a couple of questions. I think you might have sort of answered one of them. Who are you hoping to attract at that time of night? You know, what sort of clients?
Well, previously, we weren't aware of our licensing hours, so we have been open after 11, and we do get a large number of customers just coming to eat, coming for a coffee. Sometimes they come and they study at night. A lot of students, a lot of professionals, like higher class people. So yeah, just people looking to eat really.
And so opening late, that would change, wouldn't it? Because those people would sort of be going home to bed, wouldn't they? And
No, surprisingly we get a lot of people after 11. So like, there've been a lot of failing businesses before us, and well, I know our sales now. We make a large chunk of our sales after 11. To be honest, people come. I think there's no alternative place to go at that time of night. So they come. They want to get like proper food. They want to get a coffee, because it's hard to find like coffee in Bournemouth after 11. I've noticed we've got a lot of customers that come after 11, and we've never had any problem with trouble, fights, noise, anything like that.
because there was a mention of people sobering up, and so how drunk are they when they get there?
Well, we don't usually get anyone who's intoxicated, and if we did, we'd probably refuse them like service, but make sure they had a safe passage home, like order them a taxi or something like that. But we wouldn't really serve people that are that intoxicated. And like David said, it's from our surroundings. We've got a lot of bars around us that like blast music till about 2 o'clock in the morning, even on weekdays. I'm not sure. There's one, the Vault, and there's another one, and there's always a queue outside till about 2 a.m. And it's just music and people shouting outside, and like if anything, they're a nuisance to us sometimes. But like on site, we've generally had no problems after 11.
And the other question, you offer shisha. Can you tell what is? Would you be doing that, and what is that exactly?
Shisha, it's just like flavored tobacco. So it's like a traditional Middle Eastern smoking pipe. So it's yeah. But our main business is the food and the coffee. I'd say about like 10% of our sales is the shisha. It's just like something on the side, really.
But the reason I ask that is because you would have to do that outside if you were offering that, wouldn't you, if it's smoking?
Yeah, yeah,
So
all of it's outside.
would that, at that time of night, do people make a noise while they're doing shisha, or they?
Oh no, it's not a noisy thing to do, and people are generally just like relaxed. They're sat down, they're talking. I've told my staff to just keep an eye out on the noise levels to make sure if anyone's shouting, we tell them. And most of our customers we've noticed are very very calm, very peaceful. They're not drinking. They're not they're not playing any games. They're just sat down talking. So we do keep an eye out for that, definitely.
And would you offer that facility with extended hours?
The shisha.
Mm.
I would like to be able to, but if it was a condition that we couldn't, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
After 11.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Matthews.
Thank you, Chair. Just got one question actually, and it's just really a point of clarification. Obviously, you've had some mediation with the police, and I heard you confirm that you're happy to have two SIA registered door supervisors at the weekend. But in the report, it actually says from the police, additionally, that if you've got a bank holiday, that would be like a Sunday night as well, and presumably other bank holidays. So you're happy to go along with that, because that's slightly more than just every weekend. So on occasions, it would be a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No, definitely that's fine. No problem.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Jardine, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Would you like to sum up?
Yeah.
I think the summary is my end point of my opening speech. We ask the committee to put their trust and faith in the applicant to abide by the earlier restricted time, whether that is planning or licensing. And going forward, as I say, it's education, it's knowledge, it's getting that message out there, and that is there now. The knowledge is there, and so we ask the committee to grant. Thank you.
I actually have a question, if I may, before I close the meeting. Have you had any previous experience in running a cafe establishment?
I've got previous experience with my brother. We used to own Pepe's Peri Peri on Old Christchurch Road. So yeah, we owned that for about 3 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If nobody else has any further questions, then I'd like to close the meeting and we'll deliberate. Thank you.